Hello everyone and welcome to your own channel ynodacademy. So in pharmaceutics practical you have formulation syrup. During your practical exam many questions examiner ask on this and they are not all sweet. So some of these sticky tricky questions of the syrup have full potential to turn your face and mood bitter even though you are preparing a sweet syrup. So today with my video, let's survive with this syrup viva without getting stuck into your preparation. So there are many basic questions like what is syrup, define syrup, method of preparation of syrup, precautions to be taken during preparations of syrup. So these are straightforward questions which you can get from your journal textbook. But meanwhile when the examiner is asking some sticky tricky questions and I don't know the answer. Some simple questions we will cover in brief definition. So syrup is a concentrated viscous solution of sucrose in purified water, and it is often used as a sweetener or preservative or basis in many pharmaceutical preparations. Then you have what are the different types of syrup. So you have simple syrup which is containing sugar and water. You have compound syrup which contains water, flavoring agent and coloring agent. And you have medicated syrup which contains sugar, water and one or more medicinal substances. Now next you have is which are the different methods of preparation of a syrup. So basically how you cook syrup in the lab. So you have hot process with the aid of heat where you are using the heat to dissolve the sugar. Cold process that is without aid of heat. So with the stirring you are dissolving the sugar into water. And then you have the percolation process that is like syrup espresso. So water is slowly extracts the sweetness as it passes through the sugar, and sugar is dissolved by passing water over it repeatedly. So this is the ideal for extracting the active component from the medicinal plant. So various herbal or ayurvedic syrup formulation can be prepared by percolation method, and this is one simple percolator which you can use for preparation. Now next you have what are the precautions to be taken while preparing. So you can use purified water, avoid excess of heating to prevent caramelization. Then you have to ensure complete dissolution of sucrose. You have to use clean equipment to prevent microbial contamination, and you have to filter the syrup if required if you find some particles or fibers in the prepared formulations. So some tricky questions is like what is Oswald ripening? So Oswald ripening is the process where smaller crystals dissolve and redeposit onto the larger crystals over a period of time, leading to the crystal growth in the syrup. And it's like overcrowding and get granular appearance to the syrup which affects the stability of the syrup. So are preservatives required in syrup? This answer is based upon how much concentration of the sugar is present in the syrup. If it is 65% weight by weight, then the preservatives are not required. But if it is less than 65% weight by weight, then preservatives are required to add because to prevent the microbial growth of the formulation. Due to this high concentration of the sugar, the hypertonic environment is maintained and the osmotic pressure is so high that the organisms cannot grow. So all our grandma, even without studying the pharma, they know that the sweet pickles of the lemon or mango can be stored for many months or years even without addition of the preservatives. What is freezing effect on the syrup? So for syrup, the freezing is not recommended. When sugar syrup is frozen, the water in the syrup starts to freeze and it crystallizes out as ice. As the temperature drops further, the sugar will also crystallize out in the solution, and there is uneven mixture of the sugar crystals and the ice. which makes the syrup grainy and it affects the consistency. Now, freezing separates the syrup into sugar rich and sugar poor sections, affecting the texture and uniformity. And when this syrup is thawed, the syrup may not return to its original smooth consistency without additional stirring or the gentle reheating. Then the preservation property is also getting affected due to the freezing of the syrup, and there is a chance for losing the flavor of the prepared syrup formulation because of the freezing. So freezing is not recommended for the syrup formulation. Is syrup diabetic friendly? Yes, if you replace the natural sugar with the artificial sweetener, you can use the syrup for diabetic patient, but this artificial sweetener syrup have less viscosity and you may need to add some preservative in the prepared formulation. What is difference in IP, BP, USP syrup, and is sugar content same in it? So it is like telling a chef to prepare a syrup which is having more sweetness and a less sweetness. IP and BP syrup sugar content is same, and USP is having less sugar content compared to both. They follow the Indian Pharmacopoeia, British Pharmacopoeia and United States Pharmacopoeia as a standard book to follow the guidelines for preparation and to maintain the sugar content. So is the IP and USP syrup same? So let's have a look. If you prepare the syrup USP, which is containing 85% weight by volume of the sucrose, that is 100 ml of the syrup is containing 85 gram of the sucrose, whereas in IP the strength is mentioned in terms of weight by weight, that is 100 gram of the prepared syrup is containing 66.7 gram of the sucrose. So the final volume makeup in terms of IP is in grams, whereas in terms of USP it is ml. So USP contains 85 gram of the sugar in 100 ml of the final prepared syrup. Now you have one test, that is specific gravity, which is weight per ml. So you have a specific gravity bottle and you fill it with the water, plain water, and then you fill it with the syrup and you find out the difference in the weight and you calculate the weight per ml. So weight per ml for the USP syrup is 1.313. That means 1 ml of the prepared syrup is equal to 1.313 gram. So 100 ml of the syrup is having total weight 131.3 grams. So if you determine the content of the sugar in the case of this USP, that is 131.3 grams is containing 85 gram of the sugar. So how much is present in the 100 grams? So concentration in terms of weight by weight is equivalent to 64.74% weight by weight. So your syrup USP, which is 85% weight by volume, it is similar to 64.74% weight by volume of the sucrose. And you have to remember that weight by volume concentration is different from the weight by weight concentration. They are not same. So 85% weight by volume of USP syrup is 64.74% weight by weight. So same way you can calculate your IP in terms of weight by volume. If you don't know how to calculate, drop a comment. I will definitely tell you how you can back calculate the percentage in terms of weight by volume. And from this calculation, you know the difference between syrup IP and syrup USP. So the syrup USP is containing lesser amount of the sugar as compared to your IP syrup. The USP syrup is less viscous and it requires addition of preservatives because the concentration of sugar is less as compared to the IP syrup. What is invert syrup? Syrup is prepared by the sucrose and water. So sucrose is a disaccharide, and in case of this inversion, which may happen due to the exposure to the high heat or in presence of acid. So in this case, if you heat the prepared simple syrup for longer time at higher temperature, the sucrose, which is disaccharide, is breaking down into monosaccharide glucose and fructose, and the color of the solution is changing to the brown or caramel color. This is your invert syrup. And if you see the name invert, because it is changing the optical property of the prepared formulation. The simple syrup rotates the light to right side, that is a dextrorotatory, but if you check with this prepared invert syrup, it is changing the light plane into the left side, so it become levorotatory. So this optical property of the solution is completely changed to the opposite direction. That's why it is called as invert syrup. And if you compare the formulation, it has differences. Simple syrup is having sucrose and water, where invert syrup is having glucose and fructose. Then in case of preparation, the hydrolysis is required for invert syrup. The invert syrup is more stable as compared to the simple syrup. You can store it at room temperature, whereas to store the simple syrup you require the cool and dry place. The pH of this invert syrup is slightly to the acidic side, and it is more hygroscopic and 1.3 times more sweeter than the simple syrup. The crystallization tendency is more for the simple syrup. That's why it is less stable as compared to the invert. I really hope my video has helped you to find the answers for those sticky, tricky questions. So now just relax with this beautiful sea view and forget all the viva tension. Like, share, subscribe my channel and drop your comment for any of viva questions, any pharma topic which you have doubt, and keep watching ynodacademy and enjoy learning. Have a good day.